With ARK Ascended set to release at the end of October, it is right around the corner, and I've been thinking a lot about what features I would love to see in the remastered version of ARK Survival Evolved. So in this video, I'll mention a couple little things I am hoping to look forward to, though I feel a little bit cheated because the 3 top things I really wanted have already been confirmed, and that is FluidNinja, Nanite, and Lumen. Which, for those who don't know, are just some amazing Unreal Engine 5 functions that is going to make ARK Ascended look beautiful and rich, provided Wildcard utilised them well. Otherwise, one of the biggest things I'm really hoping to look forward to with ARK Ascended is an entirely new ocean. I know that might sound a little bit strange, ocean content isn't the most popular thing, and hence why I would like to see better oceans. I think the Genesis Part 1 ocean biome was a really fantastic breakthrough in how the developers can design their oceans. It's fantastic for travelling, it's got better vision, it's beautiful. All the different levels and terrain just kind of make it feel more like a 3D space and not a void, if that makes any sense, where there's certain obstacles or areas to hide around, and it just feels a bit more well-defined, more character. But again, I cannot overstate the expanded oxygen meter and the better stamina and travelling, even with that amount, just helps the ocean biome feel a lot less sluggish, less punishing, more, hey, come in here and check out the creatures I have. If we compare that to the island, for example, which obviously is a harsh comparison because we're comparing a very late game DLC to the first map of the entire game, it still is a very stark contrast. And personally, I've gone to the point in Survival Evolved where I just want to avoid ocean content entirely. And when it comes to artifacts, either cheese it in the most mundane way possible, such as Diplodocus or Ichthyosaurus, or just get a tribe mate to do it for me. I would happily welcome just a massive overhaul and TLC to the oceans in terms of gameplay mechanics and visual aesthetics. The second thing I'm really hoping to look forward to in Ascended is better weather. Now, again, this one might sound a little bit strange, but I find that, in general with ARK, I do prefer my sunny weather, especially when I'm recording. If it's raining, or God forbid if it's foggy, then that's awful in a recording. And I think I've been disabling the island fog, the really thick fog, since 2017, or however long it was, when I finally figured out that you could disable it. I've disabled it every single time since, because just like sandstorms in Scorched Earth, it's not fun, you know, being unable to play the game. It's just a forced break. So sandstorms are something that just needs to go entirely. But otherwise, for other weather effects, it'd be cool to see some variation. Perhaps, for example, some lighter rain, some heavier rains, maybe the occasional monsoon where you might actually get puddle effects on the ground. I'm not sure what that actually takes to program and develop. Maybe with the introduction of FluidNinja, rivers and tides can just kind of overflow every now and then with heavier weather. Maybe more wind can actually be prevalent and even visible. I think wind is only really a thing on Ragnarok. It technically exists on Scorched Earth as well, but you don't really see it. And on maps like the island or on Ragnarok, also just maybe like lightning storms. Nothing like the center one. I think the center lightning storms are just too abrasive and annoying. But the ones on Scorched Earth are quite nice. They're very atmospheric without being too abrupt. They feel natural but not jagged in their sounds, if that makes any sense. A couple of other weather systems could also include things like maybe just lighter dust storms, maybe just aesthetic with a much lighter fog. Heat waves and cold snaps are already present on every map, I believe. It would be cool if they also had some sort of visual indicator to go with them. And hey, maybe even a rainbow, why not? Or a meteor shower, like maybe a reason to look at the sky every now and then. Speaking of the sky, it would also be cool if while we're flying really high up in the air, maybe even breach the clouds. Again, while I have just been saying that it's nice to not be encumbered by visual issues, again, looking at sandstorms and the stamina mainly, while it's nice to not be bothered by those things, it does still feel like that when flying really high through the air on a flyer, especially like on a wyvern or a griffin, like something really fast or just big and cumbersome, the skies feel really bare and it's just a little bit strange. There's also a certain magic when you start on a brand new map. You're on the floor looking up at the skies, you see a Quetzal looming over. It would be cool if the Quetzal could maybe just, I don't know, hide behind or like fly behind a cloud and then emerge so gracefully. Little things like that I think will just add a lot to the game. And if people find the clouds annoying, just add a server setting. An additional feature I'd love to see in ARK Ascended is actually one that'll be present in ARK 2, and that is more fleshed out armor crafting. Perhaps not the same iterations of ARK 2, but it demonstrates that the devs are already playing around with the concept. I personally feel like that armor crafting in ARK Survival Evolved is just very, very boring, and especially the aesthetics are super boring. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about some massive wardrobe with hundreds of options. That's ridiculous. We can already dye armor, which is great, but when it comes to the cosmetic skins, some of them are really, really cool, but a lot of them are just very either goofy, which is nice. I like the goofy, but it'd be nice to have some more thematic costumes as well, or even just a finished version of the Alpha Withing Gloves, for example. Maybe just different variants of existing armor, such as like, you know, a more thicker hide set, or maybe add some accessories, like we've already got the glider and the zipline attachment on the legs. It'd be cool to have a couple of more of those, like just throughout the character's body. Different variations of flak, different variations of riot, maybe like a medieval set, or a really like gross caveman raggedy hide set, covered in pelts and such, that is not just a fur gear. There's a lot of experimenting and playing around that one could do, but also not just in terms of aesthetics, I would also love to see in terms of kind of like the augment station from the upgrade station mod, where you can like kind of fiddle about with your armor and add like different like armor durability, insulation, water retention, etc. But maybe have those again like in the form of attachments, so you could just smack on a bit of an attachment on your armor. Give the armor 2 slots so you can have cosmetic and attachments that are not exclusive to one another. And maybe by doing that, you just give your character like just a couple of extra bits of utility that you can do, kind of like a faux tech set, obviously without, you know, the overpowered tech abilities, but just little things like maybe we've already got a glider suit, maybe a parachute, like a inbuilt reusable parachute. I know a lot of people love reusable parachutes. Maybe a grappling hook that attaches to your gloves, but then you still have your regular crossbow as well, so you don't have to get a reusable grappling hook mod. You know, just little things like that. I'm sure there's a lot of room to play about with this if we put some time to it. In ARK Ascended, it's already been mentioned that we're going to get better dino behavior and AI, so obviously we're not really going to know how far that goes until we see it, but one thing I, again, really hope for is just more dynamic interactions in the ocean. So I know I already just mentioned an ocean TLC earlier, but I was only really talking about the appearances and how it functions. Now I'm also going to be talking about the dinosaurs as well, because as anyone who's set foot into ARK's oceans would know, there's absolutely zero ecosystem. There's zero food chain, everything is in boring stasis, just bored, you know, wandering about in circles, and maybe attack a crocodile every now and then, or like a shark will try to eat a pelagonus, but it'll fly away, and you're just kind of sat there wondering, why did you even bother doing that? It'd be really cool just to see a bit more life in the oceans, where the player isn't the only sole thing that matters. You take a step in and everything comes beelining for you. No, it would be a lot more interesting if creatures did actually interact with one another. Perhaps more Morellotop's AI. I think Morellotop's AI is severely underused, where one alone will flee, but as a pack they'll attack. It would also admittedly be quite badass to see a Mosasaur and a Tuso actually fight each other. That'd be really cool. I think sharks being perma-aggressive is also very boring and actually just a frustrating gameplay, whereas if they were to only attack, say, when you took damage or your tame took damage and there's blood in the water, hell, even just give it like a mini ammonite bile effect. And that'll cause every shark entity, not all creatures, but sharks specifically, to come attack you. So maybe that's a reason to try and play really passively so you don't aggro the sharks, but you're still in danger of other creatures like a plesiosaur. Speaking of which, plesiosaur, just redo. Completely redo that poor bugger. I think another thing I'd like to see in Ascended, which I can't see this happening but it'd be really interesting, is just more things to do with the terrain and just more climbing, for example. So, a lot of creatures, or not a lot, but some creatures already have climbing enabled, so it's definitely possible. It'd be really fascinating if the player could climb, like maybe it's a very big stamina drain, maybe you need special equipment. I know you've already got climbing picks, obviously, but I'm talking something a little bit similar to Conan Exiles, maybe like a different variation of a jump, like just slightly more enhanced character abilities. Nothing too crazy, but maybe the character can, you know, leap much further at a cooldown at a higher stamina cost. Maybe they can rapidly roll left or right or forward to, you know, evade an attack. I suppose ARK's combat isn't really fit for that in the first place. I think a dinosaur would just kind of like awkwardly rotate and eat you anyway if you were trying to roll from it. Maybe it'd be great for PvP, actually. I can see rolling in PvP being quite an interesting thing, and leaping just being great for like a PvE caving thing as well, especially the Ragnarok caves would be very interesting. One more feature that I think would be really incredible is not necessarily just an overhaul to the building systems. We all know the building systems are very flawed. Games like Valheim have made this really prevalent. There's, I think, two different ways that one could go about completely fixing the issues of ARK building. One is a blueprint system where you can place kind of like a holographic or fake versions of your structures that have zero cost, maybe like semi-transparent. Place down an entire blueprint and just, you know, that way you can actually plan your building in advance, plan the frames and everything that you want, like where it's going to be placed. And then when you're happy and confirm it, either it can pull all the resources from a container and instantly build it, which I think probably be a bit broken in PvP come to think of it, or the holographic blueprints will just remain there, like visually in the air. Maybe you can toggle it on and off for yourself. Maybe only the player or the tribe can see it, that way it's not a big lag issue. But either way, then when you actually go make your structures and place them, it will just remove the blueprint where it was and just replace it with the structure. So you can plan in advance at zero cost and zero consequence as well. Or alternatively, another way to go about it is completely do away with engram crafting entirely. I like the engram system in general, but not for buildings. Again, taking inspiration from Valheim, where you just have your builder's tool or your hammer, building hammer, whatever it is, and you open up an entire menu, and it will just quickly build things from the resources in your pocket without crafting it. It will just build and slap it down there for you. Now, one thing I wish we could have, but I understand is broken for PvP, is the ability to refund 100% of your structures. I think that is a really big issue for why ARK building feels so cumbersome. As well as the snap points. We all know about the snap points. I won't get into that because, again, we all know. I really do think that having 100% refunding and not encumbering yourself with 100 walls and then realizing, oh wait, I need a different type of wall or anything like that, or I need more ceilings. I think that'll just really take away some of the frustration, especially in official, where you don't just have the option to change your stats so easily, or you can't just change the weight values or whatever. Like, you're very limited by the rules, and even in unofficial, it can be very frustrating, just typical ARK building. So yeah, I think either a blueprint system or just a internal library where you don't have to learn engrams and you just build things from this library. Either one of those things I think will make a massive difference. 100% refunding would be nice, but again, probably server setting. Otherwise, I can't really think of much else, to be honest, because a lot of the things I want have already been confirmed, again, being FluidNinja, Nanite, and Lumen. We're going to get better or more enhanced Dino AI and Dino pathing, which is very significant. It sounds like breeding is getting changed entirely, so I really can't comment on what I do or don't want from that. I'm gonna have to wait and see. And Wildcard have already confirmed extra building, or like building structures, and hopefully more aesthetics. That's the thing, I think more trophies. I would love to see more trophies. I'm a very egotistical player, and I love having things to show off for my efforts. Obviously, artifacts, boss trophies, and flags are nice. They're great. Give me more, you know? Just give me more of that kind of stuff. I'd like to, you know, somehow show off, like, the, I don't know, 100 Alpha Raptor talons I've got. And I know Alpha Raptor's really crap, but you get the point I'm saying? Like, maybe all the Alpha Tuso eyes or the Alpha Reaper barbs, for example. It'd be cool if, like, those actually had a mesh you could show off. Maybe, like, a really tiny trophy stand you can place on a table. Just little things like that which really add so much. In addition to a way to add more plants inside your building. I know you can just do crops, but crops alone are kind of ugly. Just again, like more botany related things. So I guess that's an entire feature then. Yeah, just better farming. Just add more botany, more farming. But otherwise, altogether, I'm still really excited for Ascended. I've got very high hopes. Probably a lot of copium and hopium I'm huffing right there. But I already love Survival Evolved so much that even if Ascended turns out to be a little bit glitchier, I'm already used to the glitches, I'm already used to the bugs. You know, how much worse could it get? You know, touch wood, don't be an Atlas. But otherwise, I'm really looking forward to it. Let me know if you have any things that you'd wish to see. Let's bounce about some ideas, get hyped, and you never know, maybe a modder one day could implement some of these ideas. That'd be incredible, as the modding community is very, very talented. And otherwise, yeah, stay tuned, and I'll definitely be covering so much Ascended when the time comes. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you all have a fantastic day. Cheers.